What defines an American? Is it the love of liberty, the pursuit of justice, the urge to invent, the desire for wealth, the drive to explore, or the quest for spiritual values? Professor Patrick Alt of the University of California at Berkeley asked these questions. Our documentary attempts to answer them. Every nation has its own identity. People may live in the same country but can be different in many aspects. They share a national identity. In this movie, we try to understand American identity and how it's formed. What are the factors that affect American identity? What are the effects of the media and the economy on American identity? We interviewed many American people. They had different races, ages, and occupations. Although they had varying perspectives about what an American identity is, they were all definitely made in the USA. What exactly the American identity is, and how can we define it?
I don't think there is a dominant identity in America. I think that's what makes America special. It's a land of immigrants, and it's a land of native people. And we have, due to the immigrants coming to this country, it has diversified this country even more. So I don't think America has a dominant identity. It's a land where many identities can exist.
I've been here my whole life. I was born here. I'm a citizen my whole life. Being a citizen of U.S. in many ways a good thing, because I do like kind of the openness and many kinds of freedom that you have as an American. So that part of being an American I identify with, and I feel proud of that.
Somehow media is American identity, because there's different forms of media. I mean, again, when you think about, I think just in a common way, what Americans do are movies, not necessarily books. I mean, we do music as well. So I think when we talk about multimedia, music, movies, audio and visual, it of course spreads the American identity, but I think it creates it at the same time, partially.
Personally, American identity is, as a black man, I do see American identity slightly skewed. I see there's issues that we've had in this country, and our history definitely talks a lot to this, where capabilities and possibilities weren't at one point obtainable, and now they are. And not just for race, but also gender and equality, homosexuality, and other areas as well.
I don't know if there really is one. I think people are proud to be Americans, and having a sense of self in this nation is important, but I'm not sure if they really have something specific that they're trying to create in their own self-identities that is, you know, it must be an American thing. So I think it really just is I think people are very, very different, and they kind of blend different identities together to create something that's just unique, appropriate for themselves, really.
I identify myself as American because I was born here, I've lived here all of my life. Maybe not everyone who has that same situation like me identifies themselves as American for, you know, a variety of reasons, but it's how I identify myself as American.
What makes the American identity different than other identities?
I think that we are this melting pot or salad bowl, whatever you want to call it, of identities, and that we are many within one land, and we coexist, and we have a civil government in a prosperous country with multiple identities.
There is a strong sense of immigration here. I mean, I don't know if that's true for everybody, but just with my own experience and then the people that I know and I talk to, people here I think are generally interested in where their ancestors came from. Where did they immigrate from Europe or from Africa or Asia or whatever, and then they came here and then became kind of part of this new culture, as well as keeping some, you know, discover the records of, you know, when your great-great-grandparents came. Where did they come from? What was their experience? Where are the documents that sort of talk about that? And I think people are becoming pretty interested in that. And they probably have always been to an extent. So I mean, I think that is a little bit different, at least from my own experiences, from some other countries. Because not all countries, I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing, it's just a difference I've noticed. Not all countries are as ethnically diverse in the same way that the U.S. is. And it's just because of the history.
Wow, that is a hard one. Our drive, our tenacity, our eagerness to kind of like jump out of the world and take the world, sometimes in a careless manner, but those those ambitions that we have, and other countries may have it as well. But from my standpoint, looking at it from being within this identity, this culture, I see that drive is something that gives us that.
I don't know if there is something just different about it, because America is made up of so many different cultures and different groups and even people from other countries. So maybe that's something that binds us all, that makes us American. It's just the fact that we're all here together and getting along and trying to work on maybe even just creating our own identity, rather than having one forced upon us by other types of media. So in some countries, the media tells you exactly how you should think and behave, where I think in this country, our media gives us a lot of different options to pick and choose, and we have much more freedom on how that information is disseminated and interpreted.
What are the elements that affect and contribute in shaping the American identity?
I never thought about identity that much, but certainly culture. Not only we say American culture, but regional culture. I mean, people from different regions have some differences of culture. Also, city versus rural. So, for example, I grew up in a town of 600 people, and my dad was a farmer, and all around my town was farming. And until I went to college, very rarely was in a really big city, even though I was living near Chicago. But I think people are different based on what kind of place they come from. So I feel like sort of a person who came from a small town. This is part of my identity. And many things. Your education is part of your identity. My religion, the first 20 years of my life, was a big influence, but not so much after. I mean, I would say I'm a religious person. I haven't been influenced in my later life by a specific religion.
I think it's a mixture. I love my faith I'm strongly grounded in my faith as far as having belief, and because of that faith, I believe in people. I love people, love being around people. So I would say that would have kind of like the first step on that has an impact on my identity. But also, American culture has a lot to do with my identity as well. The different people, the different cultures that I meet, the different places that I've been in the world, but coming back to this country and being able to share those experiences also has jurisdiction on my identity as well.
America, I definitely have the right to vote. I have the right to say whatever I want. So I think that freedom of speech and like the First Amendment, freedom of press, being able to say whatever you want, you can create your own identity that way, and you don't have to worry about like if you say the wrong thing that your identity be affected, because you can make whatever identity that you choose to.
How can people identify an American person?
Accent, maybe. My language, the way I speak. I don't know if Americans have a particular look, although I think the blonde-haired girl is always sort of stereotypical as the American Californian girl. But I don't think America has a particular physical feature.
Just like I can identify someone from another country is one, the way they dress, the way they carry themselves, and nuances that they use to communicate with others. You know, there's different cultures, different either bowing or handshakes or things like that nature. So that's how people can probably identify me as an American.
Well, for one, by telling you, if you ask. Other than that, I mean, some aspects of the American culture has certainly spread to other countries through the media, you know, like with the music and movies and that sort of.
We were curious about how did the economic crisis affected the American identity. and about the role of the media concerning this issue.
Well, I think that you have seen a rise in our racial minorities, and that they have suffered the most from this economic crisis. I think also the class issues, but I think anytime you talk about race, you talk about class, social class. So I think with the economic crisis, we have seen a rise in single mothers, and a rise in our racial minorities going into poverty and seeking homeless shelters and such. So the economic crisis has been most detrimental to those communities.
It's kind of happening all over the world, but when it happened here, some of it was due to things the government did and the banking world, investment world did that didn't have to be done that way. So, and maybe some of it has to do with an American attitude about making money. You know, you should be free to make money. So we let these people be as free as they could be, and they made a big thing that just fell down, hurt people who weren't. Most of the people hurt by it weren't the people who made it and caused it to fall down. So that's all an American thing. It's part of American culture, which I am not proud of.
Because of the economy, people also lost their jobs, and so even if they were able to pay for their homes because they lost their jobs, they couldn't afford to make the payments on their homes. So it was kind of like, multiple facts were involved in the whole recession.
It affected a lot of people. It affected homes personally, and it affected job opportunities and education. More people have to go to school longer because they can't find jobs.
Economic downturn. A lot of people went into depression. A lot more people have committed suicide. A lot more things that have negative have impacted the country. But at the same time, it can have a positive outlook on it as well. And I'm not trying to go tit for tat and make positive and negative on every issue, but the positive side to that is it also spoke to the human spirit. It made Americans take a step back to see what they really can afford and what they can afford to lose and keep.
The media represents all people, right? I mean, I think that you can look at American media and you can see people who are liberal, who are conservative, who are women, who are men, who are gay, who are straight, who are black, white, Latino, etc. So I think that our media does a good job with getting voices from Americans, which is, a whole collage of identity.
The American media, it has a lot to do with American identity. Our young girls in some areas have low self-esteem because the media portrays a young woman that's supposed to be slim, blonde hair, blue eyes, and that's the definition of beauty. Victoria's Secret, they're very small. That's not the average American woman. Men, most of health magazines saying men need to be defined a certain way. So it hurts us in that way, but it also brands us in another way. When you talk about American pride, the flying of the flag, or a football or baseball game, or reaching out helping a baby kitten in the middle of an interstate, a little kid drowning and being saved by someone else, it also gives a level of inspiration. So I don't want to be the anti-media, but our media goes both ways, and it depends on what media outlet you're looking at and your take on life.
According to our research, the American identity is affected in various ways by the economy and the media. It's obvious. There is no exact definition of American identity. Due to the variety of American people, American identity is special and unique.